And joining us now is former ambassador to Morocco and former presidential advisor for the Middle East, Mark Ginsburg. Also with us, Sarit Zehavi, a major in the IDF reserves, who specializes in analysis of Israel's challenges along the northern border. Great to have both of you with us this morning. Ambassador, lots of things happening at once. Airstrikes intensifying, a troop buildup, efforts to free hostages. Now we have aid going into Gaza. The New York Times is reporting that the Biden administration is advising Israel to delay a ground invasion. The U.S. is hoping to buy more time for hostage negotiations, to allow more humanitarian aid to reach Palestinians. How much sway would the U.S. have in this situation, do you think?
I think an enormous sway. I mean, the president has been talking regularly to Prime Minister Netanyahu. It's clear that not only Israeli hostages are being held, but American hostages. The Israelis have a limited time window here because the longer that this ground invasion is delayed, the longer that it makes it difficult for Israel to claim that it's been able to eliminate the vestiges and decapitate Hamas. So the hostages are serving as a breathing space for Hamas more than it is for Israel. And for Israel, domestically, the pressure is mounting to get this job done already.
Sarit, a big focus right now is rescuing those hostages who could be anywhere in Gaza, including the underground tunnels Hamas has built that we've heard so much about. Some military experts describing those tunnels as a soldier's nightmare. In fact, one person who's been inside the tunnels described it like being underwater. We're told regular night vision goggles don't work. Communication is highly limited. Soldiers have to bring their own oxygen supplies, respirators, and chemical protective masks. These tunnels, Sarit, sound incredibly complex. They could have booby traps. How is Israel preparing to deal with this?
Israel has been preparing to deal with it for many years because we have known the infrastructure of tunnels and using underground warfare for many, many years, also from Lebanon. And the IDF is fully prepared for these scenarios. We're not surprised for everything you just said. I'm just surprised for defining Hamas releasing 2 hostages out of 222 as olive branch. I cannot accept defining anything Hamas is doing as an olive branch after 1,400 Israelis were massacred brutally.
As we mentioned, you are an expert on the challenges facing Israel's northern border, and we've also seen an uptick in violence in that region with the IDF forces exchanging fire with Hezbollah, which has been firing rockets from Lebanon. Israel, we know, has evacuated over 100,000 of its citizens near the borders of Gaza and Lebanon. So how real is this threat, Sarit, that this becomes a multi-front war?
I'm talking to you 12 kilometers from the Israeli-Lebanese border. I live in this area. We feel that threatened. We feel that Hezbollah is preparing for its invasion because Hezbollah every day launch anti-tank missiles against IDF positions and civilians on the border. We don't feel that Hezbollah is, in a dilemma or deterred or whatever. Hezbollah is a partner to this Hamas plan, and he will try to execute his plan whenever he will be capable of doing so, dragging Israel into war. This is what he had done in the past year. I saw Hezbollah every day on the border in the past year, building military position in opposed to United Nations Security Council resolutions. They were watching me all the time. They were watching IDF soldiers all the time. So it was fully prepared. A decade ago, Hezbollah published an operational offensive plan similar to the plan that was finally executed by Hamas, including the plan to kidnap hostages and use them as human shields. It's the same plan.
That's really terrifying to think about. Ambassador, we know the U.S. is stepping up its presence in the region, concerned about a wider conflict. I can't help but wonder if Hezbollah is simply waiting for the IDF forces to go into Gaza to then strike in its own way. What do you think?
I think that's a very well thought out proposition by you. The fact is that the majority of Israeli forces are down south. I know that border area extraordinarily well because my family helped found one of those kibbutzim in the North Mizgavam. But Hezbollah takes its orders from Iran. if Iran is prepared to throw Hezbollah in the bottle, one thing that Hezbollah and Iran have to take into account is 2 carrier task force groups off the coast of the Mediterranean from the United States. The United States is not going to let Israel be attacked without a U.S. response. I'm quite confident of that. And more importantly, it's very important that we understand it's not just from Lebanon that this Hezbollah attack could occur. It also could be occurring from Syria. And that raises a whole other host of questions, because while Hezbollah doesn't have a major presence in Syria, it does have a significant presence, and there are Russian forces in Syria. So the United States and Israel may find itself almost checkmated in attacking Syria because of Russian forces there.
Wow, all things to watch in the hours and days ahead. Ambassador Mark Ginsburg and Sarit Zehavi, thank you both very much for offering your expertise and insights.